Well, we're going to kick it off here. So we've got Mark Seljan on the line with us today. You guys know SimpleShot. You know Mark Seljan. He has been with us since 2013. Super proud to have you. So Mark, welcome. This is your big debut for the Seljan Series at SimpleShot.
Oh, hi, Nathan. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here with you guys. And I never thought that this will happen for so long. It's been quite some time, and I'm really happy to this opportunity, and there's a lot of things going on, so can't wait to discuss this.
Yeah, fantastic. So I want to just preface it. We are in our warehouse today, so if you hear any noises in the background, drills or shufflings of papers, that's just the normal business of SimpleShot warehouse, so disregard that. But yeah, what we wanted to talk about today, for the folks that don't know it, so Mark, you've worked with us for years. I think it was 2013 that we got together for the first time on the Torque. And we'll go into that a little bit later. But what we're doing now is the Seljan Series. So your slingshots, they speak for themselves. When you see a slingshot that's designed by you, it's very recognizable. You've got your own style. And one thing that we wanted to do is your personal style, your personal slingshots. The world wants them. You just haven't been able to meet demand. That's where we can kind of come in there. So we've got this partnership, the Seljan Series by SimpleShot. Really grateful that you agreed to do that with us. We're stoked to bring it to the world. But kind of just wanted to get to know you a little bit more. You're very much on the other side of the world from most American shooters. And people don't really know your story. So kind of to start out, it's one thing I ask everybody is, what's your slingshot story? Who gave you your first slingshot? What are your first memories? And I can tell you're smiling already.
Yeah. I have.
People happy.
I have. So basically, I was always excited and interested in shooting because my mother divorced from my father, and it was a common program within the family to go out and shoot air rifle, and I was hooked. I had a few good hits, and right away it worked. And within that moment, I just recognized that there's another shooting device. There's bows and slingshots as well. And luckily, in the house where we lived, there was a janitor, and this man was a half-eyed man, but he was a good shot with slingshots. And as a kid, I was about 7 years old. It was just not, is it possible to do that? And that was really an interesting thing. And then I just bought my first slingshot, and somewhere there the story just stalled because it was the lack of rubber, the lack of elastics, and that caused a big problem. And I had a few meters, but that's it. And later on, in a casual day, when with a family gathering, my uncle just wrote something and told, "Hey kid, look at there." And that was 100 feet away. There was a wooden plank, and he pulled a slug, like a half-inch lead something at full butterfly, and shot that wooden plank, and that leave a crater. That just the 1-inch plank that was almost shattered, and that was the voice in the distance and the travel. This is a far thing. It was not an aimed shot, but that was an impression. And from that going on, my uncle became a father figure for me, and he was really good. He was a really good craftsman, and he was interested in sculpting. He was working with marble and creating sculptures from stones and creating some unique things. And he was an animal lover, so everything that's hunting, crafts, and other things, that was it was my influence. And honestly, it was pure luck. It was pure luck that he picked up slingshots, and we were going together. He was, just let me tell you an example. It's like, no way. He was creating a telescopic slingshot that had a shoulder support, telescopic, butterfly, and shooting that. It's over 2 meters. It was like crazy. It was like scary as hell. But that was, as a kid, it was the power, the amount of force, and the physics behind it. It was just really amazing. And then we explored more lead casting and other things. And that's really a good time to meet with all things outside school, and at my age, it was like just mind-boggling that this is possible to do things at home and with some tools and understanding of physics and metals and welding stuff together and use it. And later on, when I started the university, I spent 5 years in mechanics. And when I started university, I was creating a portfolio, and that portfolio included slingshots. And those times there were Barnett slingshots and wrist rocket type slingshots in my country. And so that was the main line. But in 2000, without the internet, I designed a glove shot-like thing. So I came to similar solutions that, looking back now, it's just like funny that so many people were thinking the same thing. And soon that landed me to the university. But I had no idea to be an industrial designer. So I had nothing about this. I was a mechanic, so I finished my high school at a technical high school, and I loved work. And right next week after my graduation day, next week I had a job at a local bicycle shop where I growing up there. So I was growing up there and spent all my free time there. And from this point, I've learned different techniques, how CNC is working, lathe, and additional mechanics, and that really hooked me, and also how this whole retail stuff is going. And then, tragically, this is what I shifted from maintenance and mechanics. I had an allergy. I developed an allergy, and it caused some problems with my hand. And I had to stop working with some type of chemicals, and needed to look a different career because it was a bit too much to bear. And then art is coming in. So I was always interested in arts and crafts and other things, and sculpting first. Most of the time, I was interested in sculpting, and this was the moment when I applied to the university. And that's professional. That's the start of the professional career.
Fantastic. Yeah, and it's obvious that your background, all the gifts that your family gave you, man, they've really multiplied. Because your capacity to know how to interface the human body with a slingshot is not born from an intellectual place. It's born from a place of experience. It's very obvious that you've used your hands, that you've shaped large objects down into a usable shape. And it really shows. I mean, with your slingshots here, the first time Jacob saw this slingshot, he thought, wow, that can't be comfortable. Then he held it. And this is absolutely one of my favorites. A man that knows how the human body interacts with a tool has to design this.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I definitely don't want to forget about here, is that you've earned multiple industrial design awards for your work as given by your peers, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
If your peers are recognizing for your capacities, then that's a real honor.
So
can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah. I was an avid bicycle fan. And for my graduation work, I chose to design a messenger bike, and that was it was a carbon composite concept bike, and I won an award with that from Design Flanders. That was a carbon focused competition, and that earned with Ron Arad in the jury. So that was a big achievement to me. And from that going on, I started to design for production a couple bicycle frames, especially tube sets with hydroforming. So hydroforming is basically a when you have a tube and you put some oil or water in and pressurize it and blow it into a shape, that's hydroforming. And this tube set was capable to create 36 different variations of bicycle frames for the company, and that was an exhibited award at the annual design exhibition in the capital in Budapest, and that was one thing. So after this, I also won a diploma award with the bicycle and won this carbon competition, and that was opening up gates for me, And because I was always interested in anatomy and ergonomics, this is also coming from my uncle. He used to collecting bones, and he had a lot of animals. He was raising parrots, for example. He had hundreds of parrots, and was really keen to and dogs, breeding dogs. He did it for a short period of time. He did it for a living, and so that was an influence. And the big award for me, that was when I won the Hungarian Design Award with the hammer slingshot. So that was, and before that I had the bicycle in the exhibition, and I also had the torque in the same exhibition in a different year. So this was a chain reaction that everything was there. And also at the university, because I'm constantly working, and this is one thing. Currently, I'm a university associate professor, and this has to be done in a good way. So I need to support my claims with experience, and I like to do that. I like to be on the market, and like to be measured by actual feedback from customers, and that's a very important part. So whenever I go to the university, this is why I suggest to all the folks and all the people that you have to be tested, and sometimes it hurts, but you have to be tested. And when it is awarded, that really feels good. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we're really proud of you. We really enjoy working with you.
Same here.
I'm thinking back on it. I was trying to remember. I remember the first time I saw your work. I think it was the torque that caught my eye, and that was right as SimpleShot had just gotten. We were founded in 2012. I think it was 2013 that I approached you and said, "Hey, man, this design is really cool." So that was our first one that we did together, the torque, and it is still a perennial classic. And we just released the Torque X, which people are really loving, by the way. So, yeah, and then, of course, we went on to the hammer. That was a fun project. That one took us quite a while, but I really enjoyed working with you on that one. What I enjoyed most about that was I would bring you an idea which I would think was off the wall and not capable of being understood, and you would interpret it perfectly and to deliver something that just blew my mind every time. So, of course, the hammer was immediately copied in China, so that's obviously a sign that we did something great. Yeah. As has the torque. It makes me sad, but we have to laugh about it.
This is what we can do. You can do better all the time, better and more. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Well, I mean, with that in mind, what's kind of your vision for the future? Where do you see slingshots going?
Oh, I just came back from Belgium, from the European Championship, and there's so many ways. First of all, I hope the competition scene will grow, and more people will find a way to locally compete, because shooting in a competition circumstance, it's giving you a different edge and giving you different insights to the sport. And I think that will, so as more people are involved in this, that will create different demands, like for the sighting reference, or using muscle memory a little bit better, or creating more comfort or more feedback from slingshot, and these things may change. The other thing is coming naturally from design. So when you have a new technology and for example, with us, we're growing and CNC is now available, and that opens up gates for different features. We can create smaller parts, more reliable, more strength, and whenever something is added to the technology palette, that can just extend the vision. And I'm thinking of combination of different aspects. For example, a coarse metal frame, and using different parts, and those parts could be a little bit more customizable. That's one way to tailor a little bit. I know people like the features of a custom slingshot, but we are now balancing on, okay, we are not creating customs, but we are creating the perfect slingshots for the masses, and that's a very hard task. It's a hard choice, a hard role, and still giving the maximum that you can use of. and that and I really hope we can move to some other details that we can offer on the go. But the community needs to grow, and the community needs to understand the logic behind it, and the requirements and the expectations should have somehow standardized a little bit more. So as we're going, I think there will be more clean thoughts about this. This is what we want. This is what we're looking for whatever reason.
Yeah, so from a technological point of view, do you feel like we've kind of hit a wall with, modern elastics are quite amazing. Modern elastics compared to even the elastics of 5 years ago are amazing. Do you feel like that can evolve even further? Are we getting to the point where we have to fine-tune the human, that the tool itself is as potent as it can possibly be? The human is the one that drives the progress.
Yeah, we need more understanding. Especially, for example, just a simple thing: when you're shooting archery and you rotate your forearm to avoid a hit or something, that kind of the bone structure, how you position your bones, how your shoulder is placed, this is not really tuned for now for slingshots. There's a good understanding on this, but I think the human part needs to evolve a little bit, because if there's so many variables, it's really hard to catch up and create a range, create the brief, what should be designed, because there's so many variables and it's a moving target. And but if we know more, and shooting practice itself is a little bit more refined, and we are more vocal about this, the way we are shooting. Because so many people are making great videos about this is how you shoot, this is how you shoot, but there are so many internal feelings. How do I lift my arm? When I lift my arm, for example, when I lift my arm, I like to feel that my arm is on a path. It's like on a constraint in the 3D space, and I can't move from that constraint because it's dialed in, and I have to stick to that. And these internal feelings, when we start discussing about these a little bit more, people may recognize that, okay, hey man, I have the same feeling. This is what works for me. So it's easy to create a YouTube video. Many times I feel that straight thumb, this is how you hold. Yeah, that's it. But we are reaching a level of accuracy, and we are reaching a level of requirements to be competitive and to improve in our sports that really needs dialed in stuff, and it needs a vocabulary. You need to be able to explain it, and this is what we are learning. I think it started. So, but yeah.
So do you think this is going to be driven more through technological advances in the equipment, or in psychological understanding of the human engaging with the tool? Which one do you feel like is more important?
The tool is very important. The brain. Yes, you cannot talk only on one part. I think the tool is giving a feedback. So it's good or bad, but it is giving a feedback. Now, I had a class in Paris in 2019, and I was talking about designing sporting goods, and it was a mobility program at a university, and the sporting device is actually, it's like an amplifier. So it is a channel. You have the skill. You want to perform a movement, and what you want to avoid is distortion. And if the movement is good, then if it's possible, make it consistent and make it accurate. And even if you can, to improve the movement quality over a period of time with the device, that's a good point. It won't make you better, but it can keep your qualities and help you to maintain that performance over time. And this is why technology is important. So sometimes people think that, okay, yeah, we need a super slingshot that's super accurate. Yes, it is, but what you need to understand that there is a certain point when you cannot really go further just because you have a better slingshot, better frame. But you can keep your peak performance true if your device is matching to your needs. And here comes the other thing. If you want to train yourself and be better at your sport, is if you trust in your frame. And this is why custom frames are so good, or this is why some of the frames are, you can really bond with them. So your favorite slingshot, it has a story, it has a fork hit, like in your case. So it has a special fork hit, it has a special dent, and every time you see that slingshot, it makes you smile that, hey, this has a story. And this is very important because when you're shooting, it's your own time with your slingshot, and that's it. So that's the partner. And you need to, it's a discussion. So, and the trust is very important. And when you can trust, then you can relax yourself. And when you're relaxed, you can fine tune your habits. All right. So if someone is nervous, you cannot really build up good habits, like how to pinch the ammo, how to grab it, how to pull, what you have to be. And this is why always we're telling this, have fun. Yeah, have fun. If you're struggling, if you're just keeping yourself tied to this, it's not. It will not allow you to be creative, to be a little bit stay away. And I have the trust. I know I can shoot with the slingshot pretty well, but what if I try something else and pull it at this time and just my anchor point? Can I tune this? Is it enough contact surface? If I shave my beard here, is it good? Is it better? If it's annoying, and this happens. Right. And this happens, and so it's always an interaction, and I really hope I've seen many videos that people are just making a note about, hey, this is what happened when I changed this or that, and every time I don't have the time to write and jump in and write to every comment for these videos, but every time, this is what I'm talking about. Now that's share it, made a dedicated video about this. That's the moment. So. Mind and device going hand in hand, and exactly. That's what you need.
Yeah. So I mean, you and I have past conversations for years. We've been, I've always said that slingshots are a great tool for self-discovery.
Absolutely.
That it becomes a biofeedback tool to give you insight into your inner world through a tool in your outer world. And when those two come together, that is often the point where you're having the most fun, where you're the most relaxed, and you're the most receptive for becoming more creative. So we don't disagree here. Slingshots make humans better humans, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then how do we get more people interested in this? Because folks that are listening to this interview right now probably already have a deep interest in slingshots. Yeah. They understand. But how do we convey this sense of wonder and awe that can coalesce and happen when a slingshot is shot well? How do we introduce folks to it? How do we get more people interested?
I think the best thing is to just banding up a couple natural frames and go out and stop the kids and just be available, be there. And whenever so in my neighborhood, when someone knows that, hey, this man is shooting slingshots, and what's that? Can you show it to me? It doesn't matter how much work I have to do. I will stop and talk about that, and without expectations. The other one thing that, I like to shoot accurately. Yes, I'm really into this. You cannot deny that your life is slingshot, but when someone, for the first time, when someone sees a slingshot, it is about, look at here. I'm here in this position, and there's the target. And can you see this distance is just a blink of an eye? And here, can you hear that pop? And that's the element. That's the crucial part of launching it. If someone is just listening and looking for it and accepting that, hey, this is a kind of a miracle. So how you do it? And then it's just or the cherry seeds, and you can shoot whatever you wish, but don't make it hard. It's just make it available, make it happen. And the other thing is that what I see when you can start someone needs a lot of rubber, prepared, and just this is how you cut a frame, and here's a frame, go with it, and that's it. That's it. So availability, easy to understand, focus on the core, no expectations, and for a short amount of time. Kids, in my case, I have two kids. The bigger one, she's 3 years old, and she loves slingshots, but of course she can't really do anything yet performing with slingshots, but he is sending slingshots. So whenever we have she has a favorite Scout XT and walks around with it and says, "This is Nathan's slingshot. This is Nathan's slingshot." And Dad, go to the basement, please, and just I want to sand it. And so that's a little bit sanded, and that's interaction. That's interaction, and that's a positive outcome. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, slingshots bring people together around something that's so simple, yet so amazingly powerful. And I don't mean powerful in the sense of the power of the tool, but the power of getting into the human psyche, of stirring up something inside of us that I can reach out beyond my hands in very focused, pointed way, make contact with the target with little more than a forked stick and rubber bands. That's it stirs something deep inside of our human DNA, I believe.
Yeah.
So I couldn't agree more. Natural forks, put them out there, put them in people's hands with no expectation, and have fun. So I don't think that's ever going to go away. Well, in that line of thinking, you've done an outstanding job of creating tools that provide for awesome fun, that interact with the human body in a very functional way, but also represent your styling. So I'm going to start showing a few of your slingshots here, but so the slant slingshot here, I mean, just looking at it, it's just balanced. It's a balanced design. It's beautiful. When I put it in my hand, it feels as though it was made to fit my hand. And of course, this is not made to fit my hand. It's made to fit a human hand, which is lovely. But it's beautiful to look at. It's beautiful to engage with the hands. It's got a nice tactile feel. These are all important things for slingshots. So maybe discuss just a little bit about your design ethos. When you approach designing a slingshot, what are the things that are most important to you as a designer, and how does that manifest itself in the final iteration of your design?
Interesting and important question. Yeah, that's not an easy question. So if I have to talk about this in a nutshell, usually the key element of every sporting goods is geometry. Like, there is an iconic geometry. You have to agree that this is what you should go. So, for example, in slingshots, it's the fork width, tips, etc. So there is an outline for the slingshot. So usually I'm starting with those. But what you have to know, that my strategy is I'm always working. I'm always doing something and always creating something. I have X amount of ideas in my drawer, so sometimes I abandon them for years, and I'm picking them up. So when I recognize, okay, now there is an opportunity to use that idea, and I'm sketching all the time. So there's two ways. One is an ongoing process of discussing and understanding slingshots, and that generates a knowledge base. It's not a deep knowledge base, but it is a very widespread, superficial collection of ideas, like a net. And this, and when there's something concrete I want to work on, then I will create and pull these strings and look around. So what kind of resources I have already. And the first thing is, when I have this brief in my mind that this is the slingshot I want to do. So, for example, in this case, so we are talking about this model. In this case, the general question for me was, okay, so you're talking about slingshots. What is the essential need for a slingshot? What kind of geometry is the essential slingshot geometry? So you need some kind of a taper here and there to support the fingers. And that was the key word. Okay, so taper, you're talking about taper. Can you do something with simple cuts that actually fits the hand and can really make that strange impression? This is so geometrical, but when you hold it, you feel that this geometry is placed well, and that fits. And I was thinking of, do I really want to suffer that much? Because it's kind of an experiment in theory. So then I have to know that my doctoral degree is from design theory. So I'm a kind of a weird animal. I like to work at the bench, but when I'm not, I have these strange ideas. So there is a taper that's going all along in this frame. And also, if you look at from this angle, there's also a slight taper. And I can't really tell how many variations I did for this. I had about 10 iterations just from 1 degree and ½ degree and 1 millimeter, just to toss the dimensions around. And finally, until I feel that, okay, now it makes a difference. Every time I make a difference, I shoot 100, and then I see, can I go back and go forth? And this is how I do the whole process, is iterations, changes. And I'm using engineering softwares because they have the accuracy. So the creative process is using sketches, and that's a good thing. But when you reach to a level when you have to fine-tune millimeters, you can't really do it with traditional art software or with pen and pencil. And that's a process to fine-tune the whole situation. And this design, there's so many things to it, but this design was actually made for casting originally, and casting in CNC. And honestly, a couple folks, with permission, they tried to, and they created versions of my slants. And everybody told me that, man, this is so hard to make because of these angles. It's just with tools, with power tools. It's not really. And I always tell that, guys, this was made for production. This is something that the nuances cannot really come out unless you have a perfect tooling for this. And right. Casting was one option originally, so it was originated from there.
All right. Well, so I'm sure folks at this point are really wondering. This is a great conversation, but show us the slingshots. So we're starting off the Seljan series here. We hope this is going to be a long and prosperous relationship here. We love working with you, Mark. But we're starting off with 2 slingshots that just embody the simplicity of slingshots, the Stylus and the Slant. So, of course, we hope there's going to be more, but these are the 2 that are coming first. So we're going to let you talk about these a little bit more later, but we are doing these in CNC and in plastics. So got a beautiful color palette. So here we've got the Slant in plastics for the folks that don't want to invest in a CNC slingshot. Oh, I'm sorry, the Stylus. And then the Slant, of course, in plastics. But got several colors here. But with that in mind, these are the 2 that we're bringing to the world. We definitely hear rumors that, hey, SimpleShot, when are you going to bring out the cleaver? Everybody's asking for the cleaver. And if you've got one there, you can show it. And I don't have mine with me today, but it is a wicked good design. And I know without a doubt, as soon as this video comes out, they're going to be like, well, what about us TTF folks? So what's in the future Seljan series at SimpleShot? Do you have anything else lined up for us?
So I don't have it here right now because I was shooting it the other day and it is in my pack. I receive emails about the cleaver, and I know it's a well-liked slingshot, and it is in the progress. So it is in the progress. I'm working on it. There's so many things to do. So I'm a meticulous person. I have to get over a couple hurdles, but it is in the progress, and it was originally designed for CNC. So.
Yep.
That will be a slight transition because it was designed for 5-axis CNC. So the very original frame has some trickery that you cannot really do with other devices. And for production cost, we have to go over, and I need to review the whole thing. And over the years, I experienced some minor changes I want to make, and this is why it takes some time. But it is in the making. I love that frame. I love that. All
right, frame. Yeah, I do too. Well, Mark, we are really excited to move forward into the future, continuing to work with you. You are a part of Team SimpleShot. You always have been. But we're even more excited to highlight you, Mark Seljan, the designer of the Seljan slingshots, to bring them to market, to make them more available for everybody around the world. You've got a lot of fans out there. So we're really proud that you chose us to help carry your vision, to carry your skills into the world. So thank you so much. And for those that are interested, you stick around. Mark's going to go through and design, or speak to the designs that we've got right now, the Slant and the Stylus. Give us a little background on how they came about, how they were created, and how he sees them working inside the world, and how they might best suit a certain type slingshot shooter. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but Mark, again, thank you so much. We're excited. This is great. The world is going to see some amazing slingshots. So without further ado, I'm going to start just flashing some slingshots up here. So here we got the Stylus and CNC. Yeah. This thing is beautiful. Yeah. This one actually has got a hard anodized finish. I'm still learning the ins and outs of this particular hard anodization, but it requires very, 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 very cold temperatures for the laser to even cut through it. I'm not speaking too technically there, but this is an incredibly tough finish on this slingshot. We got that one in two colors, the gunmetal and the black. Yeah. Of course, these are integrated clips. Really nice slingshot, great heft. I have not weighed these, but they've got a nice mass. They're not too heavy, not too light, just right. Then, of course, we have the Slant and the OTT tie-on version. So this is for wrap and tuck. This has got it's a nice chunk of metal. It's got some good heft to it. I know a lot of folks like heavier slingshots. It reduces recoil. I think this is going to be really popular. It's such a intuitive style slingshot. Yes. It puts the bands right on top of your fingers, almost like shooting a longbow. I really enjoy shooting this one, and it's a great pocket slingshot. It can be shot either, full pinch grip or thumb support. So great for either. And then, of course, we've got the Slant with the clips. So again, CNC, this one is ever so slightly heavier. But for those that do not like the wrap and tuck, this is your guy right here. And then, of course, in order to make these more available to folks that may not want to make the investment of a CNC slingshot, we are doing these in injection molded plastics. In a beautiful color palette, I might add. Mark chose these colors. They are only for the Seljan Series, so folks that are going to be asking if the Scout LT can be in these colors, sorry, these are Mark's. So we don't know what we're going to call these colors just yet, but we'll get creative with it, I'm sure. But those are the goodies. We'll have lots of great pictures on the website, of course, high-res images. But for now, Mark, if you just kind of give us a lowdown on how they came about.
Okay, so that was quite an introduction. So you already told all my points. Yeah. The Slant, the original Slant, was designed to be a somewhat EDC friendly slingshot that's capable to handle heavy pulls and to sit deep in the hands. So that was this is one of the key elements to the Slant slingshots, that there's no arcing here, so you can grip really high. You can actually change the position on the go, and you can either pinch grip or thumb support it. And the biggest deal that this point here This point here, it's really close to the reference, and this edge is a fairly clean edge. So even if you are, I've experienced that, and some of the shooters share this the same opinion that, yeah, we like fiber optics and other things, but in some cases when you shoot some very freaking small things, it may cover, and you need just a simple hairline, and sometimes it's just the light is shining on the edge, and you see that, and that's it.
Yeah, let's see if we can.
So
yeah, that is a very fine point.
yeah.
Yeah,
And actually, so if you see, here's this transition. Let me show it this way, and the light is not showing up. So this is a straight platform that's going all through up. So really nothing is disturbed. Of course, the wrap will be here, but that's it basically. And this has another advantage. What I recognize, it's not true for all the shooters, but for some will really like it. That the tip is pretty wide here. We have some volume. And this volume is controlled by this indent, because that allows me to play a little bit with the center of mass. So this is protecting the logo, and this was thought out originally for casting, but it has also become an opportunity to fine tune where the weight is placed. And the tip, when it is angled, so this little edge is a little bit shorter, not as wide as in here. So if you have a tendency to a little bit lean back with the slingshot, it will not create that elongated big edge that's going on. So you can clearly see a shorter little edge, and it will give you more feedback on yes, are you aligned or not. And of course this pinky hole is one of my favorites, even if it's not a rounded hole. This kind of a coffin-like shape is using these chamfers. Now I had different variations. I've made it with rounded, another thing, but these little surfaces will give you the feedback that you're looking for. So this area is also flat. It gives you nice feedback to rest on. You can actually feel this area and secure your finger. Okay, and now I have this, and use this as a feedback. This is where we're going. And also, if it's not that easy to feel, but these edges, you can feel those, and you can feel those with the pinky. And that helps a lot on gaining and dialing in with your shot, and using muscle memory to pick up the same point. And I really like, for example, in other models, I really like the big curve here that gives you nice wrap and even wrap. But in this case, it was like a wall, hitting a wall. So because angle comes here, and here's the position where you just place your finger, and that's fairly much locking in, and then you can feel that, okay, this is a very solid point, as you see in here. And these are the main things. Maybe something else that needs to be mentioned, that originally this design was created to avoid ricochet coming back at you. So when the frame hit, it will just a little bit alter the shot, so there's not much of a problem going on, and that was working well. So in a couple of situations that really was handy. So yeah, it happens.
Wow, Mark. So all of these things that you just pointed out are things that I've engaged with. I'm ashamed to say that at first I didn't think it was intentional, but all of these intentional design elements, they absolutely work. That's great to know. It only furthers my respect for your skills.
Thanks, but this is what you don't share usually when you are creating a video, educational video, and hey, this is what I use. This is this little point in here, and just it looks like Nick. I don't like it. I can't stop binging it. But actually, this is a good thing that you have something like that.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
And I'm happy you say that, because it's a feedback from me as well, that we are on the same page here, recognizing that, hey, I never thought that this is true.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. So I know folks are going to really enjoy hearing that, understanding that background. Well, likewise, so when you first sent me files for the Stylus, I looked at it and I was like, I don't know about that one. So of course, I printed it, and since the day that print came in, that has been next to my desk. That's the slingshot that I pick up and go outside and shoot more than any other slingshot. I am really, really liking this design, and
Yeah.
just it's a full size slingshot, but it's so compact, and it's an odd shape, but it fills the hand beautifully. So tell us a little bit about your design process for the Stylus.
Okay, so it's technology driven. Actually, it was one of my experiments, and my wife is also a designer, and she was working at a plastic company, and they were working with polycarbonates. And one day she told me, "Hey, we can mill polycarbonates. So if you wish, if you have something, we have a CNC, so why not?" And it was like a side project, and I was starting drawing. And honestly, I like albums and art books, and I have a book about American cars, Brightworks, and many of these cars from the 40s, 50s, 60s. They have these beautiful like rockets type of shapes with all the dynamic, streamlined designs. And I wanted to create something like that dynamic and use the opportunity. So I created this sketch, and believe it or not, I like to cut paper. I do cardboard slingshots at first, just quickly do this even if I'm on the go. And it was like, why not? Give it a try. And then it was created, and it was surprisingly good locking. This is a lesson I learned, not the first time. So I always tell for the students and people that if you have an idea that sounds silly, give it a try. Later on, decision is you have to support your decision. It's just saying that, oh, I don't think it's working. It's not good. You have to have it hands, and then you know for sure that's it. It is not working. It will stop nagging you. It will not haunt you that, hey, if I do that design. So that was a great thing. But the challenge was not this. I was happy with this, but I tried to create different variations, and that was the issue. That was where the problem started to emerge. So it was way too much, and actually it was I created different thickness, and it was not working the same way. So these little edges that will give you the feedback, and just at the fingertips, those will give you the reference. And the way you hold it locks in here at the middle finger, and all of these are wrapping around, and because it's flat, this flatness is helping you to control and feel the angle. So that's. But when I made the variation, it was too much. I was not allowed to feel that flat area, and it was not clear that how vertical the slingshot is. So this is why I changed. I tried to increase this curve, and it was not working. So a lot of iterations when I ended up with this, and also I had this variation on the go, which one is looking great, but it's not really friendly for production, and it's not as reliable as a design, but it was a good start. So it's so nice to see for the CNC model that we can have such details. And this was, let me just tighten the screw and show something that I really do like before I tighten the screw. So let me show that little clip. Okay, can you see the pins? All right.
Oh yeah, that was very, very.
All right.
Clever.
So these pins here's the socket. So these are working as a stopper for the elastic, so you can make sure that everything is matching and it will stop, and also helps to make sure that the pressure is even, and if you watch the side view, especially around this edge, so everything is This is why I like to work in virtual reality. So sometimes I put on a glass or something and I see it for myself. Or augmented reality is also helping a lot to see the stuff before it's actually making the model or printing it out, because it needs to be a sculpture. So in my terms, I was taught by my masters at the university that it must be interesting from all angles. The tool is paid.
Yes.
The tool is paid. The path is there. The customer is paying for a full experience. It has to be looking good and working fine from all angles. So this is why I like to create these nuances from every aspect. That's the story. That's the story of it. Yeah.
Oh, you knocked it out of the park. I think people are going to be really surprised. How many? There's not very many of these in the world, are there?
No.
No. So folks are going to be really surprised. This is an outstanding slingshot. And I have to ask, did you design this with any thought of it being a striking tool?
Yeah, it was called Tech 3. It was called Tag. That was the working title, Tag. One version I've created a kind of a jimping around here, and to have a little bit of a better grip. So it's there, but honestly, there's a much more friendly usage. I like to stick it in my pocket or stick it in my belt. So that's just a little bit pointy, stick it in the belt and just walking around and just pulling it. And this is so good in practice that I like to do.
It does. It fits the pocket. I mean, that is a very thin slingshot, but fills the hand right up. Well, you knocked it out of the park, Mark. This one's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time with us today to share your designs, share your story, your slingshot story, get to know Mark Seljan a little bit more. And I've got to say, I'm looking forward to a long and continued relationship working with you. It's just been a joy being a partner with you over the last 10 years. And really look forward to seeing what else comes out of that wonderful slingshot-filled brain of yours. So thank you so much, Mark. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's my dream to work with you, and still, it's an ongoing dream day and night. Thank you.
Thanks, man. I love it. All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
It's good talking to you.